Good morning, everyone. I am Jayalakshmi from TTWRDC Mahbubnagar, Department of Botany. Today, we are going to discuss about the xylem. Before we are going to discuss about the xylem, we need to know about the tissue and the tissue systems. What is meant by tissue? Tissue is nothing but a group of cells which are having the similar structure and the similar function. In the plants, the tissues are classified into two types depending upon the dividing capacity. Here, the tissues are classified into meristematic tissue and the permanent tissue. What is meant by meristematic tissue? Meristematic tissue means that the cells which are having the dividing capacity. That tissue is called meristematic tissue. What about the permanent tissue? That means the cells which are present in the permanent tissue, they lack this dividing capacity. That is the difference between the meristematic tissue and the permanent tissue. In the plants, there are different types of tissues are there. That tissues are grouped and formed into a tissue systems. This is the some brief classification which is related to the plant tissue systems. Here the plant tissue systems are classified into three types. That is the dermal tissue, ground tissue and the vascular tissue system. This classification is depending upon the origin and the function. That means from which region they are developing, from which function they are going to perform. Depending upon these, the tissue systems are classified into these following types. First, we will discuss about the what is mean by dermal tissue and what are the compositions of this dermal tissue. Here, the dermal tissue is composed of the epidermis and the periderm. Here, the dermal tissue is covers the external parts of the plant body and also which is responsible for the giving the protection from the mechanical injuries and the infections. Along with this function, it also responsible for the control the water loss as well as the controlling the gases exchange. These also done by the dermal tissue. This dermal tissue is one of the simple tissue. That means here in this dermal tissue, it is composed of with the only one type of cells. That is the simple tissue. Next tissue system is the ground tissue system. This ground tissue system is also one of the simple tissue. That means here also the ground tissue system is composed of with the only one type of cells. This ground tissue system is present between the dermal tissue and the vascular tissue. Here the ground tissue system function is depending upon the which type of cells are composed of in this ground tissue. For example, if the ground tissue is composed of with the parenchyma cells, then it is responsible for the storing of the food material. For example, instead of parenchyma cells, the ground tissue system is composed of with this parenchyma, then it gives the mechanical strength to the plant body. That means depending upon the which type of cells are present in the ground tissue, depending upon that it function. The last tissue system is the vascular tissue system. This vascular tissue system is one of the complex tissue. That means here the tissue system is composed of the different types of cells. The major function of the vascular tissue is here to conduction. This is the vascular tissue. This vascular tissue is associated with the conduction. What is meant by conduction? Conduction is nothing but the transportation. Which material is going to be transported means here the vascular tissue is responsible for the transportation of the water, minerals as well as the food material. Here the vascular tissue, the plants which are having this vascular tissue, that plants are called the vascular plants. That means here in these vascular plants, the vascular tissue system is specially is meant for the conduction of water and the water, minerals and the food materials. When coming to the non-vascular plants, in that non-vascular plants, there is no specialized system for the conduction. conduction of the water and the food material. This vascular tissue system is composed of the two types of cells, that are the xylem and the phloem, so that it is called as a complex tissue. Here the vascular tissue system, here the vascular tissue is having the xylem and the phloem. These xylem and the phloem elements are organized into a bundles. That bundles are called as a vascular bundles. Here the vascular bundles are of two types, that are the closed type of vascular bundles and the open type of vascular bundles. What are the differences between the closed type of vascular bundles and the open type of vascular bundles? Means in these closed type of vascular bundles, in between the xylem and the phloem, there is no cambium. That means here cambium is absent in the closed type of vascular bundles. When we are discussing about the open type of vascular bundles, we can see here in between the phloem and the xylem there is a cambium is present. That means here the phloem and the xylem is differentiated by the cambium strip. These open type of vascular bundles also showing the secondary growth. Why they are showing the secondary growth means here the cambium is present. Due to that presence of cambium, the cambium is having the dividing capacity. That is nothing but the meristematic activity. Due to that activity, it undergoes the secondary growth. So that the plants which are showing these open type of vascular bundles, they are obviously undergoes the secondary growth. Okay, this is the two types of vascular bundles which are present in the plants, that are the open type of vascular bundles and the closed type of vascular bundles. Okay, here the vascular tissue is composed of the how many types of cells, that are the two types of tissues, that are the xylem and the phloem. Here we will our major topic is the xylem, so that I am only going to be discuss about the xylem only. Here the xylem, this xylem is responsible for the conduction of water and the minerals. Okay, the tissue which is responsible for the conduction of water and the minerals, to that tissue the scientist whose name is Nageli, he gave the one name for that tissue, that is the xylem. The tissue which is responsible for the conduction of water and the minerals, to that tissue they have given the name as xylem in the year 1858. Here the xylem in the plants, there are two types of xylem. Xylem is there, that is the primary xylem and the secondary xylem. Depending upon the origin in the plants, the xylem is of two types, that are the primary xylem and the secondary xylem. Here some of the characters of the primary xylem and the secondary xylem. Here the primary xylem. This primary xylem is developing during the primary plant body. When coming to the secondary xylem, the secondary xylem is developing during the secondary plant body. Okay. When coming to the primary xylem, this primary xylem is developing from the procambium. When we are seeing about the secondary xylem, this secondary xylem is developing from the cambium. That is nothing but the due to the secondary growth, the secondary xylem is developing. The main function of the primary xylem is to conduction of water and the minerals. When coming to the secondary xylem, the secondary xylem, the main function is also conduction of water and the minerals, but addition to this function, it also provides the mechanical support to the plant body. Here the primary xylem is again showing the two types of xylems, that are the protoxylem and the metaxylem. Protoxylem means the xylem which is formed first, that is the protoxylem. Then what about the metaxylem? Metaxylem is nothing but the xylem which is formed after the formation of the protoxylem. That xylem is called metaxylem. In the protoxylem is having the less trachyary elements when comparing with the parenchyma cells. When coming to the metaxylem, that metaxylem is having the more trachyary elements when comparing with the parenchyma cells. Okay, this is about the different types of xylems depending upon the origin. Okay, these are the components of the xylem. That means how this xylem is composed. Here there are four components are there in the xylem, that are the tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers and the xylem parenchyma. Among these four components, the first three components are the dead cells. The remaining, the last one, that is the xylem parenchyma, which is the living cell, which is the only living cell in the xylem. Now we will see the one by one of the xylem components characters. First, we will discuss about the first component, that is the tracheids. Okay, this is the structure of the tracheids. Like this, the structures are appearing. See here, the tracheids are having the tube-like structure. Their ends are tapering. Both the ends are tapering. That means the ends of these tracheidal cells are very narrow. Okay, when we are seeing the cross section of these tracheidal cells, they are showing the circular as well as the polygonal. They are appearing in the circular and the polygonal shape. These tracheidal cells are having the secondary cell wall. That secondary cell wall is deposited with the lignin. Here the tracheids are having the lignin depositions on their secondary cell wall. Okay, see here the tracheidal cells. On these tracheidal cells, small pore-like structures are developing. When we are saying the major parts of the tracheids, we won't see any pores. If when we are seeing the common walls of the tracheids, then we will observe the pores. The presence of pores is called perforation. That means the presence of pores. Pores are nothing but the openings or small hole-like structures which are present on the cells. That is called perforation. The major part of the cells are not having, they are not showing any perforation. That condition is called imperforated condition. When we are seeing the common cell walls, that means one tracheidal cell is sharing their cell wall with the another adjacent tracheidal cell. At that regions, they are showing the some small openings or small pore-like structures. That condition is called perforation condition. At major parts, they won't show any perforations. That means that is in imperforated condition. At common walls, they are showing the perforations. These tracheidal cells majorly present in the pteridophytes, in the angiosperms. Along with these tracheidal cells, another xylem components also present in the angiosperms. Okay, here we are seeing the here we can see the different types of secondary thickenings. Then what is meant by secondary thickening? Secondary thickening is nothing but the secondary cell wall material deposited in that particular cells in a different manner. That is the secondary thickening. Secondary thickening is nothing but the deposition of the secondary cell wall material. That depositions are in different patterns. That depending upon that patterns, the tracheids are classified into these following types. That are the annular thickening, spiral thickenings, scalariform thickenings, reticular thickenings. The last one is the pitted thickenings. Now we will see the what are the characters of the annular thickenings. In this annular thickenings, the secondary cell wall material, that is nothing but the lignin. Lignin is deposited in this type of tracheids as a rings. Okay, one above the another, the rings are formed. That means the lignin is deposited in the form of rings. These annular thickenings are is considered as a primitive type of thickenings. Okay, when we are seeing the spiral thickening, these spiral thickenings is also known as helical thickenings. In this type, the tracheal cells are deposited with the lignin in the form of spring-like. When we are seeing the spring, how that spring is arranged like that, the lignin is deposited on the cell walls of the trachees. Okay, the third one is the scalariform thickening. This scalariform thickening is also known as the ladder-like thickening. That means here the lignin is deposited in the form of bands. Okay, here we can see the band. Here we are see the band-like structures. That band-like structures are nothing but these band-like structures are developed by the deposition of the lignin only. Okay, here the next is the reticulate thickening. In this reticulate type of thickening, the cell wall is deposited with the lignin in the form of net-like manner. That means the lignin is deposited in the network manner. That kind of thickening is called reticulate thickening. The last one, that is the pitted thickening. Okay, along with the deposition of the lignin, along with the deposition of the secondary material, the pores also present in this type of thickening. That means along with the deposition of lignin, pores also present, depending upon the how that pores are distributed, depending upon the how that pores are arranged in that cell walls of the tracheates. There are two types of pitted thickenings we can see in this picture. See here, this is the one type of pitted thickening, this is the another type of pitted thickening. In this type of pitted thickening, the tracheal cells are, the tracheal cell wall is deposited with the lignin on. Okay, in this tracheal cell, the entire cell is having the pores. That here you can see the entire cell is having the pores. But when we are seeing this picture, here the pits are there, but that pits are arranged in the form of ladder. This ladder arrangement of pits is called scalariform pitting. This is the, here the pores are present. The entire the entire cell of the trachea is having the pores. This is the one type of pitting. This is the another type of pitting. In the second type of pitting, the pores are arranged in the form of ladder. Okay, this is about the different types of thickenings in the tracheates. These tracheates are the major function of the tracheates is to give the mechanical support to the plant body and also for the conduction of water and the minerals. Okay, this is about the tracheates. The next component, that is the vessels. In the xylem, this is the second component. This component is also known as a trachea. Okay, when we are seeing these vessels are shorter when we are comparing with the tracheates. The length of the vessels are very short when comparing with the tracheates, but their diameter is very wider when comparing with the tracheal cells. The cells which are having their diameter is the the cells which are the vessels which are showing the wider diameter, that type of vessels are considered as a advanced type of vessels. When the cells uh, with less diameter, that vessels are considered as a primitive type of vessels. Here these vessels also showing the tube-like structures only. Their ends are having the openings. That openings are called perforations. Okay, these openings is also known as pits or pores. In generally, the vessels are having the pores are the openings at the end walls only. In some cases, In some cases, see here, in some cases, okay, in some cases, the vessels at the lateral positions also they are having the openings. Okay, this is about the structure of the vessels. In generally, in generally, vessels are absent in the pteridophytes and the gymnosperm groups. Along with the tracheids, the vessels also present in the angiosperms. Along with the tracheids, vessels also present in the angiosperms. When coming to the pteridophytes and the gymnosperms, they won't show these vessels. But the plant which is netum, though it is a gymnosperm, which is showing the angiospermic character, that is the presence of vessel. Okay, presence of vessels. These this is a very strong evidence for the gymnospermic origin of the angiosperms. This indicating that the angiosperms are having the evolutionary relationship with the gymnosperms and the pteridophytes. Okay, this is about the structure of the vessels and the distribution of the vessels. In the vessels, there is a, first we are discussing about the different types of perforation plates in the vessels. First we need to know about the what is meant by perforation plate. Okay, I have already told that what is meant by perforation. Perforation is nothing but the presence of pore, that is the perforation. Okay, then what is meant by perforation plate? Perforation plate means where the pores are present, that region is called perforation plate. Okay, here the vessels are showing the different types of perforation plates. Now we will see the what are that different types of perforation plates which are present in the vessels. The first one is the simple perforation plate. In the simple perforation plate, the perforation plate is having the only one pore, that means single pore is present in the perforation plate, that is the simple perforation plate. The vessels which are showing less number of perforations, that vessels are considered as advanced type. The vessels which are having the more number of perforations, that type of vessels are considered as a primitive type. Okay, here next we will see the what are the characters of the multiple perforation plate. In this multiple perforation plates, there are so many number of pores are there on the perforation plate. Then we will see the scalariform perforation plate. In this scalariform type of perforation plate, like multiple perforation plate, here also so many number of perforations are there, that is nothing but the pores are there, but that pores are arranged in the ladder like manner. The pores are arranged in a ladder like manner. That is about the scalariform perforation plate. Okay, next is the perforation bar. In this perforation, here also like multiple perforation, here also so many number of perforations are there. Like scalariform perforation, scalariform perforation, these pits are arranged in the form of ladder. But what is the difference between the scalariform perforation and the perforation bar means, in the scalariform perforation, they are showing ladder-like arrangement. Entire cell of the vessels. When coming to the perforation bar, here the pits are arranged in the form of ladder only at the regions of wall. At wall regions only they are going to be show the ladder like arrangement. When coming to the scalariform, throughout the cell they are showing the ladder like arrangement. That is the difference between the scalariform perforation and the perforation bar. Okay. Next is the reticulate perforation plate. In this reticulate type of perforation plate, the pores are present. The pores are arranged in the form of network-like manner. Okay, that is the reticulate perforation plate. Next is the 4 foraminate type of perforation. In this 4 foraminate type of perforation, The pores are arranged in the form of circular manner. This foraminate type of perforation is also known as ephidoid perforation plate. That means whatever the pores which are present in this type, they are all arranged in the form of circular, in the form of ring. Okay, that is the foraminate type of perforation. These are the different types of perforations we can see on the vessels. Okay, like tracheids, the vessels also showing the different types of thickenings on their cell walls. That are the annular thickenings. Annular thickening means how the tracheids are showing the ring, how the tracheids are showing the annular thickenings, like that only here vessels also showing the annular thickenings. Here in this annular thickening, the lignin is deposited in the form of rings. When coming to the spiral thickenings, same like tracheids. Here also the lignin is deposited in the form of spiral or in the form of helix or in the form of spring. These are all same. That means here in this spiral thickening, the lignin is deposited in the form of spring. Next one is the scalariform thickening. In this type of thickening, the secondary cell wall material is deposited in the form of ladder. Okay, here the secondary cell wall material is deposited in the form of ladder-like manner. That is the scalariform thickening. Next is the reticulate thickening. In this reticulate thickening type, the secondary cell wall material is deposited in the form of network. Here the depositions appear as a network-like manner. Next is the pitted thickening, like how the tracheids are having the pits on their thickenings. Like that, here also the vessels are showing the pits along with the secondary cell wall material depositions. See, here the vessels are showing the majorly three types of fittings, that are the scalariform fitting, opposite fitting, and the alternate fitting. That means in the scalariform fitting, the pores are present. The pores are present on the vessels. They are arranged in the form of ladder. That means the pores which are present on the vessels, they are showing the ladder-like arrangement. When coming to the opposite fitting, here in this opposite type of fitting, there are pores are there. That pores are present opposite to each other on the horizontal rows. On the horizontal rows, the pits are present opposite to the each other. That type of fitting is called opposite fitting. When coming to the alternate fitting, here the pits are arranged in an alternate manner on the diagonal rows. On the diagonal rows, the pits are arranged alternate to the each other. This is about the different types of fittings which are present on the vessels. Okay. What are the functions of these vessels? The major function of the vessels is to conduction of water and the minerals. Along with this function, it also provides the mechanical support to the plant body. Okay, this is about the vessels. Next, the third component, that is the xylem fibers. These xylem fibers is also known as xylary fibers. These xylary fibers are the dead cells. They won't have any protoplast. Here the xylary fibers are classified into majorly two types, that are the fiber tracheids and the libriform tracheids. Okay, what is the criteria for this classification? How these xylary fibers are classified means depending upon the types of pit they are having, which kind of pits they are having. Depending upon that, the xylary fibers are classified into two types, that are the fiber tracheids and the libriform fibers. Okay, first we are discussing about the character of the fiber tracheids and the libriform tracheids. We need to know about the what is mean by simple pit and what is mean by bordered pit. Simple pit means it's only having the one small pore-like structure or one small opening like structure is called the simple pit. Then what about the bordered pit? Bordered pit means there is a one small pore-like or pit-like structure is there. That pore-like structure is covered by the secondary cell wall in the form of arch, or the pit is covered by the secondary cell wall material in the form of cavity. In that cavity, the pore is present. What is the difference between the bordered pit and the simple pit? Here, the simple pit won't have that type of cavities or that type of coverings. When coming to the bordered pit, that is covered by the secondary cell wall material in the form that in that cavity the pore is present. That is the difference between the bordered pit and the simple pit. Okay, this is the fibers which are having the border pits, that fibers are called as a fiber tracheids. The fibers which are showing the simple pit, that fibers are called as a libriform fibers. Okay, along with these two type of fibers, there is another type of fiber is there, that is the gelatinous fiber. Okay, these gelatinous fiber we can see in the tension wood. Okay, what is mean by tension wood? In generally there are two types of woods are there, that are the normal wood and the tension wood. This tension wood is also known as reaction wood. This wood is developed by the this tension wood is developed by the activity of the or the responses of the gravity. Okay, these tension wood, in this tension wood the gelatinous fibers will be present. What are the characters of the gelatinous fiber? That means here the gelatinous fibers are having the one peculiar character. That character is nothing but the gelatinous fiber cell wall is composed of the cellulose instead of lignin. Okay, due to this reason the cell wall is composed of the cellulose. Due to this reason the fibers are appears as a gelatinous. Okay, due to this reason they are also having the they are also showing the hydroscopic nature. What is mean by hydroscopic nature? Hydroscopic nature is nothing but the capacity of absorbing water. That capacity is having these gelatinous fibers. This capacity is due to the presence of cellulose. Okay, this is about the xylem fibers. What is the major function of these xylem fibers is it gives the mechanical support to the plant body. The last component of the xylem is the xylem parenchyma. Here the xylem parenchyma is the only one living cell which is present in the xylem. Okay, here this xylem parenchyma is composed of the cellulose. Okay, when we are comparing with the other cell wall component, other xylem components like tracheids, vessels, and the xylem fiber, those are all composed of with the lignin. Those cell walls are composed of with the lignin. When we are come across with the xylem parenchyma cell wall, that is composed of the cellulose. Instead of lignin, here the cellulose is the cell wall component. Here the xylem parenchyma is of two types, that are the axial parenchyma and the ray parenchyma. This xylem parenchyma is classified into axial parenchyma and the ray parenchyma depending upon their origin. The xylem parenchyma is classified into two types, that are the axial parenchyma and the ray parenchyma. See what are the characters of this axial parenchyma and the ray parenchyma. Okay, axial parenchyma is originating from the fusiform cambial initials. When coming to the ray parenchyma, this ray parenchyma is originating from the ray initials of the cambium. Here we can see this is the axial parenchyma, this is a ray parenchyma. See here, the axial parenchyma cells are arranged parallelly to the long axis. When we are seeing the cells which are belongs to the axial parenchyma, they are arranged parallelly to the long axis. When coming to the ray parenchyma, it's showing the two types of ray cells, that are the procumbent ray cells and the upright ray cells. Depending upon the in which direction they are showing the elongation, depending upon that, the ray parenchyma is there of two types, that is the procumbent ray cells and the upright ray cells. In this procumbent type of ray cells, the cells are elongated radially to the long axis. When coming to the upright ray cells, here the cells are elongated vertically to the long axis. This is the difference between the procumbent ray cells and the upright ray cells. Okay. Depending upon the composition, depending upon the in which direction they are showing the elongation, depending upon that, the ray cells are classified into two types, that are the upright and the procumbent. When coming to the which kind of depending upon the composition, that means depending upon the which type of cells that ray cells are having, ray cells are having, depending upon that, the ray parenchyma is there of two types, that are the homocellular ray and the heterocellular ray. In this homocellular ray, the entire ray is composed of the only single type of cells, that we can see here in this picture. Here the entire ray is composed of the only one type of cells. When coming to the heterocellular type of ray, here there is a two different types of cells we can see. These are the one type of cells, these are the another type of cells. These cells size is small when comparing with these cells. Okay, here in this type, here in this type of heterocellular ray, the cells are having the different structure. That means different types of cells are present in this heterocellular ray. Okay, what is the function of the xylem parenchyma? The major function of the xylem parenchyma is the storing the some ergostic substances like resins, gums, tannins. Okay, due to that accumulation, it gives the one peculiar odor to that wood. That means it gives the one characteristic wood to the that particular wood which are having the that substances like gums, resins, and the tannins. Okay, in this xylem parenchyma only, there is a one important aspect is there, that is the tylosis. What is mean by tylosis? Tylosis is nothing but the it is a outgrowth or extra growth of the xylem parenchyma, that is called as a tylosis. Okay, this tylosis is developing when the plant is undergoes the stress, or when it undergoes the infection. In that conditions, the tylosis will be developing. Okay, here how this tylosis is formed means, when this when the outer cell wall layers of the parenchyma cells are undergoes the destruction. In that conditions, whatever the cells which are present in that parenchyma cells are showing the protrusions. That protrusions are nothing but the extra growth or outgrowths. That outgrowths are entering into the lumen of the vessels. What is mean by lumen? Lumen is nothing but the empty space. Okay, the empty space which is present in the vessels, into that empty space, whatever the outgrowths of the parenchyma cells are there, that are entering into that lumens. Okay, due to the entry of these parenchyma cells into the lumens of the vessels, what's happening? The path is black. Okay, due to that blackage of the path of the vessels, the spreading of the infection is controlled. That means it is a bridge to the infection having cells and the cells which are in healthy condition. In between that, it is acting as a bridge like. Okay, here these tylosis, here the tylosis is also accumulated with the some substances, some secondary materials like gums, resins, and the other substances like tannins. Here in this tylosis is accumulated with these kind of substances. Okay, due to this accumulation, it will give the one characteristic odor to the that particular wood. Okay. Okay, I have already explained about the types of the xylem, that are the primary xylem and the secondary xylem. Again, this primary xylem is classified into two types, that are the protoxylem and the metaxylem. To this, our topic is completed. Thanks for listening. Thank you, everyone.